Good morning. Morning. I have no sound.
Let's see. Can you hear this?
There we go. Yeah.
Funkiness.
I used to have so many headsets, and they were always going.
Yeah, and it's like the sound is coming from one headset, but the voice is coming from another, so it's a little discombobbled. So.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So I'm gonna put this so I can hear it a little better. So anyways, well, so you're in Canada.
Yes.
Awesome. And then tell me a little bit more about you and what you do, how you got started in online marketing and all that kind of stuff. So I'd like to get to know you and let the audience know you a little bit too.
Well, for me, it started just a year or two ago.
Okay.
When I was graduating from high school.
Yeah, right.
Not long ago. I was one of those kind of sweet but troubled kids.
Mm-hmm.
And my high school had the first computer lab being put in, and to try and capture my attention and keep me out of trouble, I got assigned to the team that was going to help installing the first computer lab in our high school.
Cool.
And I don't think that I was there 2 days before it had my entire attention. And initially, I come from an IT background, and that's where it started.
Mm-hmm.
And I started out as I went to college from there, and eventually I became a programmer. And then I took my networking. Back in the day, Novell was the big network, so I'm an administrator and got my CNE and CNA both for Novell Networks. And with a group of people that I went to school with, we sort of developed a brain group and a money group.
Mm-hmm.
And the money group asked us if we'd like to get together and build a piece of software for them. And we're like, hell yeah. So we built that software. And then the people that were financing it, they couldn't figure out how to sell it. So that was the beginning of online marketing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, Google didn't exist yet. So it was groups and forums that you could get involved in. And this was, Yahoo was just came out around the same time. So I'm kind of dating myself a little bit. And by plugging into groups and forums online, we started developing relationships with people who could connect us to where our software might be useful.
Mm-hmm.
And to make that long story short, we sold that software, and then online marketing's been my focus ever since. So that's going back to the 80s. And then I started coaching in 2000. I was kind of spent a lot of my time focused on tech. And the nature of that beast and the personality that's drawn to that is we're not extremely social.
Mm-hmm.
by nature. And as I got a little bit older, I realized I maybe needed a few social skills. And someone told me about Thomas Leonard and Coach You. And I called a number out of a magazine, and Thomas Leonard actually answered the phone. And I enrolled and started studying coaching for a couple of years. And I wanted to marry the two things. So jumping forward a little bit, in mid 2004, I got a call from someone I knew that was working with Rougeau, who was the founder of the Internet Marketing Center. Are you familiar with them?
No, I'm not.
IMC, as they're known, was the original online marketing training platform, group, agency. They were probably the first digital marketing agency that there was. And I was brought in to develop and promote a coaching program that would train entrepreneurs or small business people how to use the internet to grow their businesses. And over the next 4 years, we traveled the world selling that coaching program and executing on it. And unfortunately, Corey was killed in a tragic accident in California. And things never really were the same after that, because Corey was, it was his baby. He built it and it had his flavor and his energy in it. And when you take that out, it's not the same anymore.
Right.
So I left IMC to late 2008, early 2009, and started consulting and coaching for small business or mid-level enterprise on executing digital marketing for their businesses, or coming in and training their marketing teams on the digital side of marketing, which eventually led to an offer to go to India.
Wow.
And yeah, well, I've been pretty lucky. There was a large enterprise that wanted to have a large marketing agency that's really specifically only served their group of companies. And so that was what I originally went to India to do, was to establish and grow and set that team up. Over the next 4 years, I ended up setting up 3 agencies over there for 3 different companies that wanted to expand. And then mid-year last year, I came back to Canada and moved from Vancouver out to Toronto, and we're just getting settled here.
Wow. That's quite a journey from high school.
Yeah, told in 7 minutes or less.
That was awesome.
So internet marketing has just been my thing my entire adult life. Married with coaching, which I think is a good mix. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it is a good mix, and I agree. And that's why I wanted to get to know you and just to see what you did, and how are things in Canada? I mean, is that what you're focusing, or are you focusing all over the world right now?
Well, I have clients globally because we're not restricted in any way. So I've been kind of, for the last 6 months, exploring different things that are next for me. It's been sort of a transition time, coming back to Canada, acclimating culturally, and also Toronto's really, really cold in the winter.
Yes, it is.
I haven't lived in that kind of cold since I was quite young. So one of the blessings of the nature of the work that I do and that you do is we can do it from anywhere. So I don't need to be out in that cold, which is fantastic.
Right.
And I really enjoy the small group work, or the team lead work, where you're helping people that are able to grow themselves and their teams forward in what they do. So over time, I've realized that that's something that I enjoy say a little bit more than the one-on-one work that I did for years, because you can help many.
Right. So as you're putting together a team, what are the key components? You've over in India, you have start from nothing. What are the people, what are the parts that you put into place in order to help them become successful?
Well, personality first. No, I didn't think that way originally. Originally, I was of the opinion that you find the skill and then you figure out how to get everyone to work together. And I was wrong about that. So what I've learned is that you look for personality that has skill set, because you can teach anyone anything, but you can't make someone be a different person than they are.
Right.
And you don't want to spend your energy or your time on that. That's something that they can do individually. So the first thing that we did was we did a series of testing. Now, it's culturally different building a team in different parts of the world. What I would do in Europe is different than what I would do in Asia Pacific, and different again than what I would do here. But the basics are the same. Find personalities that are curious, interested, realize that the more they know, the more they don't know, that play well with others, that are curious why someone wants something done a particular way, that are strong communicators and are able to articulate their preference for a process or a system, or their request for change, or able to be client facing and support a client who perhaps doesn't understand why some things don't work well together, and is able to present other options, or work directly with a client to have a high level understanding of whatever's being done and how it's being done and how it'll be delivered, timelines. That conversation is key to success in any technical development or any marketing strategy. If your clients don't understand what you're doing or why you're doing it, and they can't partner with you in that, it's going to be a real painful experience for everyone. So choosing team, I start with communication skills as being number one to me.
Did you use like a Myers-Briggs, or what kind of test did you use to figure that stuff out?
Well, actually, I have testing tools that came with my training through Rougeau, and I've worked on expanding those over the years, and so they're not proprietary. Very similar to a DISC or a Myers-Briggs, but those kinds of tests, they depends on your mood the day that you take it, or your mindset the day that you take it, really what the outcome is. It's a very general indicator. Much like keyword research, you can have strong general indicators, but you get to know a person, I think, more by having them come in and spend a day with your team, or spend a couple of days with your team, cross-experiencing their time, and see how your team feels about them, and see how they felt about their interactions, and be an observer. I'm really big on experiential everything. So we use the testing that I brought forward on personality traits, developed by Thomas Leonard, and anyone can find the basis of that online. And then over the years, I guess it's 15 years now, I've been using that. So it's grown a little bit as I've learned a little bit, and you'll tweak it as you go and learn from it too. But the thing I listen to most is how they interact and the energy with the team or the department that they're in when they're spending time. And even here in Canada, I think, when we're looking to make additions to a team, have a try it on period.
So after you've assembled, as you're doing this, you've got the personality part down. What parts, when you're building a digital team, what are the key things that you're looking for as far as tasks, managers, that kind of stuff?
Um, okay, again, it's different here than Asia Pacific.
Okay.
And that's in large part cultural. My experience in Asia Pacific is that the skill sets are phenomenal, but the working culture is very different than we'd have here in North America or in Europe or UK. So every individual that we hired did on-site skill testing that was developed in each team. And if I was recruiting for a manager for a department, whether it was SEO or social media, or we had a game development team or graphic design, the task that was performed by the team the previous day would be assigned as a skill test for the person that was in the recruitment process. And the team would evaluate the results of their work on site. So one of the things that we found in India is that we would interview 20 to 25 people to find a candidate that had execution experience and the confidence to execute prior to a paycheck. And the thing that we find in North America is that when you have a candidate, they have an execution portfolio normally to bring forward.
Sure.
So you can see their work. You don't see a lot of that as much in Asia Pacific as here. So on-site skill testing was a key in every department, and content as well. We wanted to not just see work that people had told us they'd written. We wanted to give them an assignment and have them execute a written piece, whether it was a 250-word post or a 750-word article, or we would give them a topic and have them create a campaign strategy and the bullet notes that they would use for that topic. We wanted to see how their thought process would go, what their mindset was, and what tools they would plug into to use.
So from the time you were doing that in India to what you're doing today, what have you seen that's changed? How have things evolved, if at all?
Well, we have platforms that we didn't have 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And on the one hand, I think that's fantastic because we're heading in a good direction. On the other hand, I think that it is a loss in some ways. If you're coming into digital marketing now or in the last few years, and you're hopping onto a platform like a HubSpot, then you're manipulating the panels that are in front of you without a great understanding for what's below that platform or behind that platform. And you may not be aware of that or conscious of that. So, I think that as an industry, we need to be perhaps a little more careful with, as we advance, that these, to understand that these are tools that are still in testing and growth and development.
Right.
They're not masterpieces yet.
It's like Blab. It's always beta.
Exactly. We haven't gotten out of beta when it comes to finding a seamless platform for execution or for analytics. And being a little bit old school, I'm not trusting of a lot of the analytics platforms that we have because I know what's under them, and being a programmer, I know how to build them. And so I still want to go back to my server.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to find out raw what's going on, because you can give me big data, but it's also a big mess.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if the basics are the basics are the basics,
Mm-hmm.
and if we keep that moving forward so that there's a more conscientious comprehension around what our tools are doing for us and what they're telling us and what they might be missing, then we can provide a better service, and we can control more of our strategy and our execution, and ultimately cost. Absolutely. So, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, what's your take on Google Analytics? Because that, to me, is like a baseline. I find that to be something that's at least comparable. Because with servers, one's going to read your data one way, one's going to read the other way, and it's like it's so hard to compare apples and apples. So,
It
what's
is.
your thoughts on that?
Well, it's still, apples and elephants, really.
Right.
So when it comes to Google Analytics, um, if you look at the business tool, the paid version of Google Analytics, it's definitely come a very long way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I said earlier, right now I think that all that's available still is strong indicators. And you need to test against what those indicators give you to find out what will work, more so than even what's actually valid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take on it. Um, there's a few analytics tools that have been around as long and longer than Google Analytics. One thing that Google's done is Google's really looked at what kind of high level information does a business owner want to review.
Mm-hmm.
And they've given language and a platform to make a quick view that's suitable to a high level, um, I don't want to say manager, it's not the right word. It's something you might,
Non-techie.
non-techie in the boardroom
Right.
kind of idea. Um, there's another program out there that's Stat Counter that's
Mm-hmm.
been around quite a while, and I've noticed that even some of those smaller programs that are maybe less known, it's still indicative. But Google's done the best job so far of providing something in a manner that a non-techie can absorb it and perceive that they can have faith in it because it's
Mm-hmm.
Google.
Yeah, and I've seen so many different platforms where the numbers were just like skewed.
All
You
over the place.
know, I mean, just so skewed. Like a difference between one stat saying you're getting 26,000 visitors a month, and then you get on Google Analytics and you have 600 visitors a month.
Exactly.
And so which one do you believe? And the only thing I can go to is I look at Google as a baseline. So if I know if one company is doing 150 a month and this is doing 600 and it goes up to 2,600, at least there's some kind of benchmark to be able to measure against.
Exactly. And those indicators are what we have to work with because it's what's available.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is a analytics tool that's available, that runs through Cloudflare, and I think you can get it independently too, called Clickety.
Sure.
Are you
Mm-hmm.
familiar with Clickety?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think that Clickety has more accurate, closer to accurate information than Google Analytics does.
Okay.
And I think that it pulls from more servers. So even what I don't believe the numbers, but I do think that they're probably closer to reality.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to the skew factor, um, unless you're a real techie and you're in looking at code at a level that no one goes to anymore, you're never going to know for sure. But if you see movement and you see it through, I'm going to say 3 different tools, and the patterns are the same, you can lean on the patterns with some level of trust.
So what are some of the other benchmarks that you put in with the teams that you're working with that are set to measure success of what it is that they're doing, what the end game is? I mean, what are some of the metrics that you use?
Well, we have KPIs that we set against task level.
Okay.
So, and this is something that, I learned a lot more about and honed more the last number of years I was in India. Getting control over execution starts with specs from the client. So, one of the big challenges was putting KPIs together on what was required for what was coming in, because you don't want garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
So it starts with your sales team and your consultants and assigning KPIs to spec development for a product and breakdown on that, right to the wireframe for anything web development, even for something campaign wise for marketing purposes. And then once it comes and hits the execution system, we found that I use Teamworks. I'm a massive fan of Teamworks. And we broke each milestone down into task, and each task down into bite-sized execution steps. And we created SOPs, or standard operating procedures, for how to execute everything at the task level. And we measured performance against that execution and the quality of that execution. I think that's what you're asking.
Yes.
Yeah. So every project had every project has a standard operating procedure with execution instructions, quality assurance, follow-up steps attached to every task, and a task set attached to every milestone, and multiple milestones, of course, per project.
So you really laid out a complete system that was repeatable, executable,
right?
The whole 9 yards.
And
that was your major goal, was to go in and set that up to really build the platform so you could leave it and just walk away?
My major goal was to get control of my executors. And that's and the output, like I had to get control of the input, and I had to get control of the output, and they were not anywhere near where I wanted them to be. So that's what inspired that. And then, looking for a project management system that I could do that in, where we could have a universal team and manage all our communications within that one platform. And now that they've come out with the support desk integrated into it, it's just even better, because we can bring specs in through the desk prior to the project system.
That's great.
Yeah, it was born out of having a ridiculous mess that just needed a solution. So necessity forced me to get tighter on it.
So what kind of tools do you see that are helping rather than hurting the process now? An example, you mentioned HubSpot. What about something like Lead Pages or ClickFunnels or anything, wish list member? What kind of things are you seeing that are helping the process?
I've used wish list member for a number of clients to create membership forms. And of all the membership forms that I've seen out there, I think that is the best. I think that there's a lot of room for growth. It could be actually integrated into. I'm not a massive fan of Confusionsoft, I call it. But I think if you were to integrate, I forgot what it's just. If you were to integrate Infusionsoft with what was it?
Wishlist.
With Wishlist, and I mean that may be done, and I don't know because I don't know everything. But I remember at the time thinking if the two would integrate, that might be a really interesting product. And HubSpot, there's a lot of solopreneurs and entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs that want to do their own thing. And they don't know what they don't know, and they don't want to find out, and they want it to be easy. And, for that mindset, it's ideal. For the mindset. I don't think that the mindset that I perceive anyway, that's being drawn to that, is going to lead to humongous success case studies.
Right.
But I think it's moving people's mindsets forward. So I appreciate it for that. If that makes sense.
It does. Yeah, I find it to be overwhelming for the average small business owner. There's way too many things to learn. Just learning the concepts of content creation, online marketing, content distribution, all the platforms that are out there. I mean, those are mind-numbing alone. You throw in a tool that's really there to help you manage and measure it without understanding the cores, then all of a sudden it becomes even more confusing. It's like, I don't get the concept. If you don't understand how to pedal a bike, steering it doesn't make any difference.
Exactly.
Unless you're going downhill. Uphill, not so much.
Well, downhill, you might fall off. So,
yeah.
There's one thing. I've worked with a lot of people like that. When I say small business in this particular context of what I'm going to say, I mean 10 people or less.
Right.
And very often, one, maybe 1.5, 2 people.
Right.
So one of the things that is available through, there's an age. Can I name drop? Any problem with that? Can I name drop a group?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Key Media Difference.
Okay.
Is Karnika is his company, and they're based out of Chennai, India.
Okay.
And very North Americanized mindsets and leadership within that group. And they put together a service offering that could be our small business client or it could be enterprise. But our small business client can tap into it. And when you're running your business, you want to kind of try and get out of it so you can run it.
Right.
The less execution you have to do, the better. So find some way to duplicate yourself, not your efforts, at a cost point that's not going to kill you, because those small businesses don't have much of a working budget. They're squeaking along, supporting themselves, not much else. So somewhere like Key Media Difference, you can go, they have a package where you create a specific piece of content to specific
audience
details or audience, and they give you the guidance to do that. Then they'll take that from you. They'll repurpose it into 20 or 30 different pieces of content, all unique, all targeted, all direct, and distribute that for you. And you can get together with 2 or 3 or 4 other small businesses and get that package. And they will manage it according to your budget. And they're getting results for people.
Gotcha.
So I think that this is, I think they're ahead of their time, but I think it's something we're going to see more of.
Mm-hmm.
Because small businesses just don't have the money to spend for what people want to charge. And both of them are, both are okay. Like, it's not one's right, one's wrong. It's just the condition in the moment.
Right.
So I think that we're going to see more services come available that can be specific for a small business, shared amongst small businesses, where they can merge their marketing or advertising dollars and maximize their results from it. I think that's next.
Yeah. Well, it's the old adage, it's faster, better, cheaper, pick two, you know. And, if you want it faster and cheaper, it's not going to be better. If you want it better and cheaper, it's not going to be faster.
Exactly. And so I think another thing is that everybody wants something now.
Right.
And growth isn't, growth, generally speaking, growth isn't instant. Results aren't always instant. You can get a technical result pretty instantly. Like, if I do this, this will happen. But a marketing result's not going to be instant. You put an ad in the newspaper 20 years ago, you may have got great results and you may have got none. You put that same ad in 6 months later, totally different experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, nothing is written in stone. And I think that that's where small businesses are struggling too, is, this person did this and this happened for them. If I do the same thing, why didn't it happen for me? You must have sucked when you did it.
Right.
Isn't the case. And it's, and you can do all the split testing on an idea that you want, run numbers through it, see what the results look like when you run your tests, and then you apply it as a real world action for your business, and you don't get the test results.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I think that as small businesses and as people who consult or coach or educate small businesses, everything is an educated guess.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, is my favorite wine. If you've never had it, it's fantastic.
I'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is an educated guess. And you bring up a lot of things, because I've been in marketing since 1980s. And back then it was, you put ads in papers, flyers, took 7 times, and then you kept doing it, and it was the repetition that started doing things. The expectation today is that you put something out once and you get results. You're going to put an ad in Facebook and you should be making $1 million, because that's what the ad says. It says right there in Facebook, one ad, I made $1 million. Why isn't that working for me? And I think what the problem is that people don't understand the difference between creating a community and communicating to that community over time.
Yeah.
The Seth Godin tribe building way of doing things, and advertising. It's just they want a result out of spending money. They think, give me $1, give me 2 back, and I'll do that all day. But it's a big different world now, right?
Yeah. Mark Mawhinney.
I know Mark very well.
He's awesome.
He is awesome.
Mark Mawhinney shared a quote that he picked up from someone that I think is perfect and goes with exactly what you're saying. Money is an echo of value.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't heard that before Mark shared it, but it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And the more value that you deliver to that community that you need to take the time to create, then the echo back will be the reward that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, well, I guess you could, but most of us don't walk up to a person on the street that we don't know and say, hey, can you just give me $50? I'll give you a book,
Right.
right?
Well, I do all the time, but I only ask for 20.
But you build a community, and
Mm-hmm.
you build that community through the process of presenting value that attracts them to you.
Right.
So I'm what I call kind of a bipolar mindset. I am techie to a huge degree, and I also believe in the law of attraction. Whatever you're putting out is coming back to you. So whatever you've got coming back to you is exactly what you're putting out, and you can change that. That's what
Right.
you have control over. So if you haven't built a community that you can present something to without a cost, then don't expect something to come back to you without a cost.
Mm-hmm.
And that cost might be delaying your success, delaying your revenues, delaying a product launch. You're delaying something, and it's not as hidden a cost as you might think, because you're starving because of it.
Yep.
So what I say to people that work with me is, whatever you're putting out directly represents what's going to come in. So let's look at what's coming in and find out what we need to work on around that. And it's just like tech, garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
And what you put out comes back. I mean, that's just a natural law. It's a law of tech. It's a law of the universe. It's a law of pretty much everything.
Spelling, I had a question, and it was spell Mark's last name, and it's M-A-R-C. It's not M-A-R-K.
Mark, and
So it's M-A-R-C. It's M-A-H-W-H-I-N-E-Y.
Mawhiney.
Thank you. M-A-W-H-I-N-N-E-Y. There we go. Got it. Yep.
And we can say he's from the coaching jungle.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's natural born coaches.
Natural born coaches.
Yeah, he has a podcast, and he has a couple of groups, and very active groups, by the way.
Yeah.
And I've been on his show twice. I still haven't gotten him on mine, but he's a great interviewer and does a great job with that. He's built a wonderful community, and he gets it.
Yes, exactly. He does. He gives a lot of value, and he is very successful because of that. And he gives it freely. Like,
right.
That's another aspect. Don't create a bunch of crap and throw it out there and expect something good to come back.
Well, and the other thing about him, which is different than a lot of people that lead larger communities inside of Facebook, is that he lets people promote a little bit without being overtly, buy my crap. Where a lot of other ones, I was on one group. All I did was say, I'm looking for some good podcast guests. And all of a sudden, I was blocked.
Oh,
It was like, I wasn't selling anything. I was just asking for podcasts.
Yeah. Mark even actually has a promotion day. I can't remember right now what day it is, but he has a day.
Oh, he does it Friday, promotion Friday.
Fridays, yep. And he has a thread where everyone can promote whatever they're doing.
Yep, and I love it. And I got to switch headsets because my battery's dying. So keep talking.
So one of the things that I learned from Mark, and what we're always learning, like, I maybe have been doing what Mark's doing for 20 years, but I learn from Mark nearly every day, and from other people, within his group and one other group that I'm in, because I limit my Facebook time. But if you get to the place where you think you are the one and you know the answers and you know what needs to be done, and you come from that place, you're really going to get stuck and no one can help you. One of the things that Mark attracts to his business, to his podcasts, to his Facebook groups, is that he gives freely what he knows. And when he doesn't know, he says, I don't know, but I know someone who does, and I'll share them with you. So he's a great example of how being the center of a resource hub is super valuable as a person and as a business. No, can't hear you. So, when we were talking about HubSpot a little bit just earlier, still can't hear you. One of the things about HubSpot that is good is that it is a central repository of information.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear you. My favorite two, can I share my favorite two go-to places when it comes
Sure.
to doing business online? Favorite two, and I just met you, so not personal. Miguel Ruiz is Bruce Clay. I've been just a massive fangirl of bruceclay.com for years now.
Mm-hmm.
And Planet Ocean, which I think is
I love them too. Yeah.
Bible. Yep.
As a matter of fact, Kurt Scholey turned me on to them, and they're good.
It's fantastic. I've been a loyal subscriber, reader, sharer since probably 2000, 2001. Mm-hmm. Awesome. A long time.
Now Andrew has a question. Now Andrew, either type the question in or jump into an open seat and you can ask it.
Huh.
If you want to. Or Kurt.
I'm not sure if it's still available. I haven't looked for a while, but there was a livingseobook.com too. Aaron, can't remember his last name. I'm not sure if that's still available, but great beginner's tool. I don't think that it's still living. I don't think that he keeps it up, but all the basics are still the basics.
Right.
So for someone new, that's a cool resource to have available. And if you really want to dig in, Planet Ocean it just rocks. And they have great training.
Good. Mm-hmm.
One thing I did do with my team members is put them through training that came from our subscription at Planet Ocean. If they had a training, I'd put the team in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a great podcast. That's what I've been listening to and just getting a sense of who they are, what they do, and how they do it. It's good stuff.
You know what? I didn't even, I haven't heard their podcast.
Yeah, it's good.
As long as I've been in this, I've never gotten involved in, I've written a book on podcasting, but I've never gotten involved in doing it or in doing video. This is something I've just started recently to do. I tend to be a behind the scenes personality. And so I actually put a post somewhere and I said, I need some practice. I want to start getting into this. And
well, that's how you got on here is, it was through Facebook post, Blab Guest Exchange. And see, I love this kind of stuff because I was born and raised in audio and video, and this is like second nature to me. I love doing this stuff.
Oh, you and Rob Youngblood. Yeah, him too. He's thoroughly enjoying it. And Scott Patton, if you haven't connected with him yet.
And I was mistaken. It's Freedom Ocean, not Project Ocean.
Planet Ocean,
yeah. Freedom Ocean. I confused the two. It's a great podcast, though.
I'll check that out. I wonder if Planet Ocean has a podcast. It'd be cool to follow if they did. But definitely I read everything that they publish. Now you're in Illinois.
Yes, I am. Chicago.
So Scott is the MC at the Impact event with Ken MacArthur. I saw that you had Ken on your show. He's a really dear friend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
great guy. Met him a handful of times. I'm going to be out at Impact this weekend, too. Are you coming?
I can't. I wanted to attend, but I'm not able to. But when I left IMC, the very first thing I did was attend one of Ken's events. And
in Philly?
No, I think it was just outside of LA. Wasn't I? Where were we?
Was it Vegas?
No.
Or was it LA?
LA, just on the outskirts of LA. But I've been a Ken found for years and years as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's someone who's been around really since the beginning of time as well, although he wouldn't let me say that out loud.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. He's a great communicator, knows how to bring people together. Talk about building a tribe. You know, I've been to one of his masterminds, and it's been awesome. I mean, does a great job with that. He's an all-around good guy. And he's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Buckaroo Banzai, but Buckaroo Banzai is about a guy who's a scientist, secret agent, musician, ninja. I mean, it's like he's one of those kind of people.
Yeah,
because he's done so many different things. I mean, he was a policeman. He owned a recording studio, a pet store. I mean, it's just. I sat down with him one night, and I was just like, I was amazed at all the stuff the guy's done.
And he's so humble. He's just a wonderful man. Mm-hmm. And you know, his counterpart on more techie side, someone who I have mountains of care and respect for, is Yannick Silver.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, I would say the two of them are probably my top two. You can't follow everyone,
right?
But they're two people.
You could, but then you won't have any time to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it gets a little confusing.
Mm-hmm.
So we got about 10 minutes left. Any final thoughts or things you want to talk about, or stuff we didn't cover? And we still got time for questions if somebody wants to jump on.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if you track, you know, being where you are and having your podcast, do you track geographically your reach? I'd be interested to know what that is.
Yeah, now the reach is pretty. Bacon goes everywhere. It's not as big in the Middle East. I don't know why. I think I could. But yeah, no, I use the Blueberry platform. And if I sound a little funky sometimes because of big echo in my ear, so it's kind of confusing me. But as a matter of fact, I gave a speech at a college, and I was given the opportunity to do this impromptu speech on international marketing. And the first thing I did was pull up my podcast. And so number 2 is the UK, Australia, Canada's number 4, Serbia, Germany, Hong Kong, Portugal, and Denmark. And that's just over the last month. If I do summary, let's see what this comes up, world. That's just showing the 1 month. Let's go here. Here we go. Worldwide, Germany's number 2, UK, Canada, Australia, Portugal, Ireland, Netherlands, Curacao is in the mix too. So yeah, it's all over. I've South Africa, South America. I've seen lots of different interactions from different places.
I think that's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to exploring this medium more, engaging in it more. I've really actually enjoyed my time with you today. Thank you for
thank you
a lot. It's been interesting conversation for me, and I love bacon. What Canadian doesn't?
And it's a big difference between Canadian bacon and American bacon.
I don't know if it's all that different. It depends on which state you're in or which province you're in. We all love our bacon.
Right, I hear you. Well, you're about the 5th or 6th person I've interviewed from Canada, so, and they all love bacon. So.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it's a staple, like water.
Exactly. Yeah, well, that's the whole point. So I appreciate you and your time. Any other questions, people, before we wrap this up? I see an LOL, a couple of LOLs. Thanks, Kurt, for jumping on and keeping my brain straight. Monday mornings are hard to remember everything. And I'll definitely have to check out Planet Ocean, because there's lots of oceans.
Yeah, but that one is a great one. I'm just going to write it in here. And
I'll definitely have to check that out. Now, where are they based out of? Are they in U.S.?
I think they're actually in Hawaii.
In Hawaii, okay, cool. That would be U.S.
Yeah.
So, all right, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Digitaladvicecoach.com. And my email is Donna@digitaladvicecoach.com.
And of course, you're on Facebook. That's how I
I'm
found
on
you.
Twitter. I'm on everything.
Hmm. Well, that's
So
good.
Donna the Coach, at Donna the Coach, on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere.
Awesome. Well, I'll see you on Facebook, hopefully on a few more blabs in Mark Mawhinney's group. And I really appreciate you coming out this morning. You came on such short notice. We just really connected yesterday, so it's awesome. And I appreciate it.
Thank you. And it was a ton of fun. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Donna, it was great to meet you. And I'm sure we'll connect up some other places too. Maybe at a Ken event.
Oh, that'd be great. That would be great. Good event.
Looking forward to it. All right. Take care, Donna.
Cheers.
Bye, guys.